Hello friends, today I am recording a video on how to prepare a project management plan. A very important task for a project manager and very important from the PMP examination as well. In front of you I have drawn a small house with a lawn in front of it, a small tree and a swimming pool out there with a demo car. So let's assume that this customer has given you this project and you are the project manager that's going to execute this task. It could be any project in your day-to-day life. I'm taking a simple example over here. It could be a software project, it would be a mechanical telecom, or it could be a construction project, any project. But the following things are very important because these form the structure of the entire project. So people over here, right, the customer is your very important stakeholder. The customer is a very important stakeholder for you throughout the journey. And then after that, your sponsor, the person who's going to ask you too many questions on how the budget was spent, how the money was done, how the people are hired, how much did you save, did you meet the guidelines, did you build a reputation. So that's important. And then after all, you yourself, the project manager, is a very important person in this entire equation. And above all, the people who are going to help you achieve and win this project is your team, right? So they form a very important part of the project. These are the people going to help you realize the entire project. So in your plan, you need to see how you're going to engage with these people throughout the project when you're going to build this house for your customer. That's the project. Okay, this is the project you're taking up. Now let me give you a short view of how this video is going to be. It will be some 10 to 15-minute video. I am going to cover many aspects. I have put in a lot of things over here so that I could summarize all this. So we'll talk about all the plans that are going to come in the project, the different plans, and then we'll see what are subsidiary plans here, how you'll gather data, what skill you need to have to make this plan, what are the baselines, how are the changes managed, and answer some simple questions like what, how, and who, and then show you how to prepare a high level plan. That's the idea of this video. Please watch this video, wait with me, bear with me till the end of the video for another 10 minutes or 12 minutes. Let's get started. So how do we start getting the work, right? That's very important. So the customer, he is giving you a request. He wants a product, a service, or a result in the end. So to realize that product or service, it's broken down into a lot of deliverables. A lot of deliverables are broken down. And then from these deliverables, we will kind of build on the requirements. Now, we are working over here on making a project management plan, right? Project management plan. The main idea of a plan is to help you define something, manage something, and control something. The something is nothing but your knowledge areas. For scope, it would be how would you define the scope? How many features? How many features? Okay, or what? Let's say, what are the different phases you need to do in different parts of the scope, right? They're going, and then how do you manage it? How do you ensure that the work is getting done? How do you ensure the work is getting done? It's getting done over here, and then how do you control the scope? In the sense like, did you meet the number of features you decided to develop in that particular month? Okay, did you meet that criteria, or did you meet the quality standards of that scope, right? So the scope management plan will help you define, manage, and control the scope. Same with the requirements management, right? And then again, the cost will tell you how do you define the cost for this project. What is the cost budgeted? What have you budgeted, right? And then you have to manage, ensure that you're not overshooting or undershooting that, and manage the entire budget, right? And then after that, you have got controlling the budget. You see the variances. That's important. And then again, getting back to your schedule will tell you what are the timelines, manage them, and then what are the variances to control the schedule. With quality, you define what are the quality standards, what are the standards you're going to take up, what are the standards, quality standards, what are the metrics you'll be using in, and then what are the processes you'll be improving, right? And then after that you will manage the quality and then see what are the how do you control the quality, what are the variances, what are the quality audits to do, right? What are the defects you find, and then take the corrective actions. Similarly with the resources, you'll define how many resources you need, you'll manage, and you'll control the resources. And then communication plan, you will define the frequency of communication, frequency, format, whom will you communicate, people, right? And then you actually do that, and then you control the communications if things are getting over the board. Risk, you will define the risk management plan. You'll identify the risk, you'll do a qualitative risk analysis, you'll do a quantitative risk analysis for the overall project for the dollar amount, and then you will make risk responses, and then you'll make a plan how to implement these, right? And then you implement the risk responses. Finally you monitor the risk. That's what you do in the risk management plan. So the risk management plan will tell you how to identify the risk, manage the risk, and then how to control the risk. Same thing procurement, how do you identify the procurement vendors, how do you manage them, and how do you control the stakeholders. Same thing, identify, manage, control. So that's what all these plans do. So you see we have got like 10 knowledge areas, out of which 9 I have listed on over here. So the 9 knowledge areas will give you 9 subsidiary plans, 9 sub plans. Plus you have your requirements management plan, that is the 10th one. Plus you have a process improvement plan. Okay, so it's like it becomes 11. Now these plans define a very important part of your project, and that's nothing but your baselines, right? The baselines have to be designed. The baselines are going to tell you actually did you work according to what you had planned, what was it that was agreed, right? What was the basic scope that was agreed? Let's say the baselines talk here about the scope, schedule, and the cost, right? So is the amount of work that was agreed initially is still the same work? Are we doing less or are we doing more? Is a question you have to ask yourself. So baselines will give you the agreed upon, what is agreed upon. Any changes from the baselines you will have to, any change from baseline you will have to raise a change request. Same thing for schedule. What was the agreed milestones? When was the release, right? Are we on track or are we off track? So you see, you keep on updating this project management plan, this document, as and when the work gets done, right? When does the work get done? It gets done in the executing process group. When you're doing the work, you gather a lot of data, right? So on and off track. So if you know if your team is slow or if you're fast, you can update that. Now if you're very slow, then you might need to change it because you know you're not going to reach the deadline. And then finally the cost. So what is the base budget for this? Whether delays, did you overshoot the budget, right? So these are the 3 important aspects of the baseline. So the 3 parts of baseline are scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline. These 3 are together also called as performance measurement baseline. Performance measurement baselines, right? So these baselines are the 3 more new things which you will add up to the initial list of 18 plus 3 baselines, right? So that makes it to 14 plus together these 3 is called as performance measurement baseline plan. That's called as the 15th one. And then after that you have got something else called as the change management plan. What is that change management plan? Let's see over here. How do you manage the changes on the, you will define, okay, you will define how the changes, how will you manage changes, Who will approve it? When does the change need to be done? What is the reason? Right? And how do you control changes? You just can't doing changes to the product or the project, right? The product would go for a toss. So when do you need an changes, right? So how do you changes? Who's going to approve? When do you changes? And why do you need the changes? And how do you control these changes? Control changes. That's what's defined as a change management plan. And then again, one more thing is a configuration management plan. Configuration management plan. So configuration management plan tells you about how are you going to manage the improves in the versions, right? The documentation, configuration, documentation, how do you manage that? So that's important for every change in the configuration. You will have to go and manage this. Sorry, there's some background noise, just bear with me. Documentation. Okay, so every version change to the code, it will be somewhere on the SharePoint, right? Version changes, version 1, version 2, right? That's been, and it's available for all the team members. All team members who have got access can use this. See this, that's a configuration management plan. Okay, now last but not the least, what, how, and who, right? So when you're making a plan, you need to remember the what, how, and who questions, right? So it's very simple. Just see this. I've kept it in parallel over here. Ask the questions like this. What is the scope of the project? What is the budget? What are the milestones? What is the quality standards expected, right? What resources will you need and who will go and need it? How will you kind of execute the project, right? Then who are the point of contacts, the stakeholders? You see, and then after that, you have got what risks do you see now? How will you control the risk? That's important. How will you engage with the procurement people, right? How will you engage with the stakeholders? What kind of reporting is needed for the stakeholders? So ask these three simple questions on what, how, and who when you're making the project management plan. That gives you a lot of insights into how you're going to manage the entire project. Last two things before I close on the video. Very important is how will you gather data. So the data gathering technique is very, very important for a project manager. So you gather data by things like brainstorming, and then you have got a checklist. Brainstorming is getting a group of people, stakeholders together and putting on ideas and gathering data. Then you've got checklist. A checklist will give you the steps on how to do something, right? So you'll have checklist, and then you have got focus group. Focus group is like you get a group of experts on one particular subject matter and then do the gathering data, focus groups. And lastly, you have the interviews. You meet people or you send on emails to them, you have one-on-one meetings and you gather data. So all these are nothing but your tools and techniques. Okay, another tool and technique, the skills you have. What skills you need to have? You need to have conflict management skills, right? People wouldn't agree on the project initially, you have to do a lot of conflicts. You need to have facilitation skills to get a decision, facilitation skills. And then you'll have meeting management. Then you will have active listening. Then you'll also need to have leadership skills, to take this forward. And few more, like you need to network with people, you will have to know how's the organization environment. So these are the skills you will need to have for the project. And above all, what is the source of input for this project when you're preparing the project management plan, right? What is the source of input? It is your project charter. Your project charter becomes an input to this project charter. This is an input. Okay, so that's an input. I have two more things to cover before I close on the video. So we were talking on the number of plans. There are like 18 subsidiary plans that make one project management. It's just not the schedule. Many times people confuse a schedule to be the project management. No, it's not just a schedule. So you've got like 12 plus 3, 15, right? And then you've got your change management plan is the 16. And then after that you've got your configuration, sorry, then you've got the development approach, and then your project life cycle. You define all this in your plan. So totally that's what makes all the 18 plans. All this becomes an input and you create one plan. And as a project manager, the most important thing you will do is you will integrate all of this into a single plan. You will have to integrate all these into a single plan. Lastly, let's come down over here. I just want to show you the project management plan is a living document. That is, you need to keep on updating this. Let's say for example, the feature one, you have got say one developer and say this is still open who's working on the thing. You're supposed to complete this development in say 1 week, and unfortunately it did not get completed in the 1 week. Okay, it's still open, so you'll have to run through this a little part of the second week. Keep on updating this and then see what changes you have to do. So feature 2, let's say you had somebody again from the development only open, and then this was done, this was actually completed on time. And for feature one, development is over. Then after that, if you've got quality, you can go and put the quality work over here. You can update it over here. The quality can be updated over here. Let's say the quality work is in this week. After the development is done, you can make this as Q, right? And then you can update that. So that's how your high level plan is going to look. So please watch this video a couple of times. It will give you a good understanding of the entire project management plan. Make notes, watch this video a couple of times. If you like this video, do subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, drop me a note if you want me to make a mind map on any other topic. Wish you all the best for your PMP examination. This is Arham Faraaz from Bangalore. Bye bye.